I need an on-screen graphic about, loving you guys instead of, Lindell smoking crack.
I was on crack.
Right. Well,
Oh, Mom. Oh, yeah, I did put up kind of a shocker of a story here and then start talking about something else. Yeah, Mox, yeah, unfortunately. High hopes for riding on the new Omicron boosters this autumn, but they may not work any better than the original. And we're dealing with two new highly mutated strains. New Omicron boosters that were initially touted as offering better protection against more recent COVID strains may not be any more effective than the original jabs, according to two new studies published this week. Those who received the new Omicron booster as their fourth COVID shot had a similar immune response to a variety of COVID variants as those who received a fourth shot of the original vaccine, according to a study from Columbia University and the University of Michigan, both published on Monday. A Harvard University affiliated paper released Tuesday came to the same conclusion. Ooh. The original vaccine and updated booster performed very similarly. Both markedly increased antibody response, though not the response of T cells, the often neglected other half of the immune system that doesn't prevent infection but can reduce the severity of it. Both papers cite immune imprinting as a potential reason for the new booster's inability to outperform the original vaccines. It's a phenomenon in which an initial exposure to a virus, say the original strain of COVID, by infection or vaccination, limits a person's future immune response against new variants. Repeatedly updating COVID vaccines might not be fully effective. Owing to the phenomenon, Australian scientists warned in a 2021 paper published in the journal Trends in Immunology. Are we all going to need to smoke some crack now?
I was on crack.
right. Well,
Cases are going up, but so far, deaths have continued to decline. But cases are going up. So let's proceed with extreme caution. It would probably be pertinent anytime you're in a crowd of people to wear a mask. Now, it's definitely not foolproof if everybody's not doing it. It's not even foolproof if everybody's doing it. But my God, is it drastic? Chances drastic go down, as Scott Steiner would say. Your chances drastic go down of catching. And if anybody hasn't seen that fucking Scott Steiner clip, you have no clue what I'm talking about. So far, we've dodged the bullet on outbreaks at schools. In monkeypox, we have gotten it contained. It was still only in one community. They did a good outreach effort in getting that community vaccinated. And that community isn't a bunch of dumb fucks like the far right tends to be. So we got monkeypox under control. That's what happened there. Outreach efforts in big cities were successful. And the numbers drastic go down. That might have to be my next on-screen graphic. Do several of Scott Steiner from that one promo, Scott Steiner math. Your chances drastic go down. You guys watch Breaking Points? I check in every now and again, and it usually makes me mad.
Well, I mostly have not cared about COVID for like a year now. Occasionally, I would be reminded about
we know
what the policy was when blue cities refused to drop mask mandates and Uber rides, but by and large, I moved on. Every once in a while, you see someone in a K95 in the grocery store.
He didn't like the fact that they refused to drop mask policies and Uber rides. What an entitled little prick. You watched it when it was rising? I think we all did. At the time, there might have been some value to it.
And you think, wow, that's kind of wacky. But look, it's their life. They can do whatever they want. If you look at the data, I'm solidly where most people are. We just don't care anymore. We don't think about it. That's why what just happened at the White House was so bizarre. It was like a TV screen into a different universe. When President Biden got his fifth coronavirus shot in the last 2 years and encouraged literally everyone to do the same and issued this stark warning. Let's take a listen.
So take precautions, stay safe.
Now, remember, Biden is getting his 5th because he was probably one of the absolute first people in the world to get vaccinated. And we all got vaccinated 6-8 months later. So he's at that because like the boosters are supposed to be every 6 to 8 months or something like that. So of course he would be on his 5th booster.
You can spend Thanksgiving with family and friends with a peace of mind knowing that you've done your part for everyone's well-being.
Motherfucker
My
also
administration is
just
doing
had
our-
COVID, so he's going to be like
Made
super
these updated
protected.
Vaccines easy to get and available for free at tens of thousands of convenient locations.
What's your reaction to the Saudis on oil urging the U.S. not to use reserves?
Sir, do you think it was a mistake for New York to withdraw its mandate for vaccines?
Say again?
Do you think it's a mistake for New York to withdraw its vaccine mandate for private employers?
No, I don't think. That's a local judgment. Thank you.
Lots to unpack there. 5th time President Biden received the COVID shot on camera, with rhetoric reminiscent of the early days of 2021. That's actually what strikes me the most about this. Since 2021, we've learned a lot about COVID, about the efficacy of vaccination, of boosters, of Omicron, and more.
Absolute tool.
And yet, the Biden administration continues to stick with the unscientific notion that getting the Omicron booster after already getting 4 other shots
Good
somehow
evening.
protects other people that you might be around at Thanksgiving. Now look, I honestly ignored the news of the Omicron booster, like most of you. A month after its so-called rollout, only 4% of the US public had even gotten one. All of us basically moved on. But now that the White House is pushing it so hard, we've got to delve into just how crazy the approval process of this shot was.
I mean, I got one, but it wasn't 1 month after it was
Push for the 5th shot
approved.
will likely kill other public vaccination campaigns for a long time. Let's start with the latest booster itself. What exactly is the Omicron booster? The medical
Wait a minute. This motherfucker just claimed that the push to get people vaccinated is going to cause other people with other vaccines not to get vaccinated. Not the right-wing rhetoric against vaccines in general. That's what that Saagar doesn't have a problem with the right-wing rhetoric talking about how vaccines aren't effective. No. It's because the Biden administration is pushing too hard for vaccines. It's going to cause other people to not get vaccinated for other things. Wow.
is a bivalent vaccine, which means it contains a mix of mRNA from the original COVID strain and the Omicron variant. The theory behind it is the updated shot will give people more protection against Omicron as it remains the dominant circulating form of the virus across the world. Except there are big problems in how this shot was even approved in the first place. As Dr. and MPH David McCune writes in Dr.
Well, let's go to Substack.
Sensible Medicine magazine, the bivalent booster shot was approved by the CDC and the FDA with no data from human trials. In fact, Pfizer presented its version of the bivalent booster to the board with data literally from 8 mice. Worse, the study on the mice had finished on the very same day that they were even presenting the slide, with not one shred of data to provide prevention of severe disease. Pfizer claimed the vaccine reliably raised antibodies, but said even in mice, quote, there was no correlate of protection against COVID.
What? We just read about the studies, and it did indeed raise antibodies. What COVID denier Saagar over here is saying is patently false. I mean, I don't know what that Substack article said. He's quoting the Substack article, so I have no idea what they're getting their information from. But we saw that the University of Michigan and the Harvard studies show that they raised antibodies.
David McCune continues, there was no safety data used to approve this vaccine. Quote, literally none. He continues, quote, the committee was uneasy but ultimately chose to learn about any new side effects after the rollout. So in conclusion, he notes, quote, in choosing an untested new vaccine combination, the FDA opted for speed over evidence in the hope of providing protection from current and future variants. They discussed an ongoing series of boosters with no clear metrics as to how and when this should end. He adds that all we really know about these shots is that a BA5 bivalent vaccine raised antibody levels in 8 mice who received it and lived long enough to have their blood drawn. Anything more is speculation. This is a scandal of epic proportions. How does this get approved widely for the entire general population?
And then
McCune continues.
to show a parallel claim, okay, the claim that we just looked into, the facts that we actually had, the new COVID boosters may not be any better than the old ones. So he made a lot of claims about like them being ineffective, which they are not, and cited a Substack article. Then cut to Bloomberg, which I would assume his audience accepts as reputable, for the far less egregious claim, and the true claim, that the boosters aren't any better than the old ones, but they are still as good as the old ones. This is insane.
That in August, he actually wrote that in August of 2022. And on the very same day that Joe Biden, the CDC, and the FDA just asked us all to take these latest booster shots, researchers at Columbia University and the University of Michigan found that the bivalent booster failed to raise levels of protective antibodies against Omicron variant any more so than the previous 4 shots.
Any more so than the previous one.
Contradicts findings from both Moderna and Pfizer, which were published 2 weeks ago, which claimed that they had early positive data to show protection against Omicron, and yet they claimed it on data that was based off of just 7 days after vaccination. Columbia
now back to Substack.
3 to 5 weeks out. Furthermore, many might have noticed, as Dr. Prasad did, that the freaking CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, just got COVID this week, literally only 1 month after getting the so-called bivalent booster. As Dr. Prasad concludes from this episode, quote, "Before we launch massive vaccination campaigns, we need good evidence that they actually benefit the people we are tasked with protecting and caring.
They
Rochelle
do.
Walensky's infection is a reminder to the American people she doesn't know what she's talking about because she has not asked for good evidence. Consider all the information I just gave you in the context of the president's proclamation that we should all
didn't
rush to
give
get
all
this
the
booster,
evidence,
which has
Saagar.
no data to show that it will do a damn thing in protecting people around you this Thanksgiving. And to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't get
Whoa, that was not true at all. That last claim he made, that it won't do a damn thing to protect people around you at Thanksgiving, is patently false.